Megan, and I'm an account manager here at Marquee 360. And you'll also be hearing from Charlene, our West Coast account manager, and Stella, our solutions architect, who will be doing the demo today. So the agenda will be Charlene and I will give a little background on Marquee 360 and our focus areas, as Stella will show the demo, and then lastly, we hope to have some time for interactive audience. I always say it, so please ask questions along the way or put them in the chat and we will get them answered. And we'll also, of course, be sending out the recording after the demo. So a little bit about us. Marquee 360 was founded by former Microsoft employees who are really, and very well respected and considered industry leaders. We have a really seasoned team with 20 plus years in the PMO industry and are dedicated to creating a seamless and user-friendly solution. Our mission is to drive growth and enhance your internal processes, and we achieve this by implementing best practices to optimize efficiencies and overcome any of your current challenges. Also, I want to do a little bragging. We were honored to be recognized as a finalist in Microsoft's Partner of the Year for Project and Portfolio Management this year, and we're also recognized in 2022 and 2023. So our core focus areas for successes are innovation. We are definitely pioneers in enhancing the Microsoft suite on the Power Platform and bridging any gaps that may exist. Our goal is to elevate it to new heights and customize it to your needs, and to align it with whatever specific requirements you're looking for. We work side by side with Microsoft's technology team during their development process, which ensures that our solutions are always kept up to date. And we stay ahead of the technology curve. Customer success, we act as your trusted advisor, ensuring unwavering support from beginning to end. And we absolutely utilize our extensive expertise and best practices to tailor our solutions to align with your organization's unique PMO needs. And then lastly, we recognize the critical role support plays in a successful launch of any new program. So we're fully committed to providing a comprehensive support from start to finish and onward. Now Charlene's going to be going over our key PPM3 solutions for the new planner. Again, we'll be sending out the recording to everyone, and please reach out to us if you want to do a customized presentation within your internal teams. We love to do them, so we hope to hear from you. And with that, I'll hand it off to Charlene.
Thank you, Megan. So Microsoft Planner is going to be Microsoft's newest product offering. Microsoft has invested a lot of research and development work into making the work management experience easier. So the new planner includes enhanced features that allow you to see all of your work in a single view and allows you to manage tasks, to-dos, and projects within one app. So team members can be assigned tasks, update progress, and collaborate without having to switch back and forth between different apps. Modern work management is going to encompass both collaborative and enterprise work management that caters to business users, informal and professional project managers. Microsoft Planner, which was formerly Project for the Web, offers a sophisticated project management platform built on the Power Platform and integrates really well with Copilot, Power BI, and Power Automate, delivering a comprehensive solution for both task and project management across various roles. And then, like I said, this is just going to show a little bit more specifically about what we do with Microsoft Project. We take the capabilities that are already existing and expand on them. So Project as it comes, you get some light task management, and then we use Power Apps to give you an intake app, timesheets, budgets, things that aren't already existing in Project. And then we connect them with Teams to give you that collaboration back and forth all in one ecosystem. And we use Power Automate to automate processes and workflows in the background, and then Power BI report packs, which you'll see some of that today, so that all that data ends up in really nice interactive dashboards where you can view all of your data from your projects. And now I'll pass it over to Stella, who's going to go over a little bit about what we'll go over today and then get into the demo.
Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So my name is Stella Salome. I'm a solutions architect here at Marquee 360. Today we are going to walk through creating a new project in PPM 360, which is Marquee 360's pre-configured custom solution for Planner. We will submit a project request through intake, approve the request, and then manage the new project created. Throughout today's webinar, we're also going to be looking at our PPM 360 reports, which are Marquee 360's custom reports included in our PPM 360 solution. So starting with intake here at the beginning of our project's lifecycle, we have intake. This is where users can submit requests for new projects. This marks the ideation phase of a project lifecycle. From the gallery, we can see other requests that have been submitted, and approvers can use the search filters to filter down request types for approval. For example, by requester, by the date it was created, department, and any other custom filters that you'd want to filter your gallery by. Accompanying our intake application, we have an intake dashboard report that comes with our PPM 360 solution. This intake dashboard report is typically used by customers for review of these requests at a high level and can be customized to fit the needs of your company. For example, here on this report, we can see visuals that can be used for decision making. So for example, I can see by the requests type here, how many of them are IT projects. This filters the table below to only show me IT projects. I can see the amount of requests by requester. So the significant amount has been submitted by Neil here. We're going to go ahead and submit a new request. One more thing I want to note here is that this request dashboard is completely customizable per your requirements and has actually been used by a lot of our customers for demand planning. So it can include upcoming budget information and can actually be used for critical decision making. For example, we have a customer that used this to make significant budget cuts for requests that were coming in for projects. So now let's go ahead and fill out a new request. So we're going to click new here at the top. Everything we're seeing here is completely customizable. For request type, this is going to determine the schedule template and the business process flow that's used. So you can have, if you have specific request types that would need one business process flow or different schedule templates, this is how we would determine that in the workflow. Project sponsor, this is going to be who becomes the project manager of the project once it's approved. We have a location field here, for example, a project description field, problem statement field. Another thing too is that once this project's approved, it's going to automatically create a project in PPM 360. And some of these fields will be mapped over. So you can have as many or as little fields mapped over to your new project once it's created as you want. So we're at proposed budget, benefits. We can describe our expected benefits here. Here we have an area for scoring. So this is pretty important too, and filtering requests and determining the score. So this, we've done very custom scoring models, multiple tier scoring models. As you can see here, this is just the points, but we can have one question be weighted more than another. And then we also have an area for attachments here. So keep in mind, this is completely customizable. You can add additional tabs that fit your requirements needs that you're not seeing here. Now I'm going to go ahead and submit my request. Now, as an approver, I will receive an email notification by Teams notification and an email notification that a new request has been submitted for my review. In determining if I should approve the request, I can utilize the proposed dates on the request with my dashboard reports to make this decision. Something else that we can also refer to when determining who the project manager should be for the new project, we can also refer to our resource reports here. For example, our resource availability report, and I can determine which of my project managers has the availability to do more work. So for example, the project that we just filled out, we can see was proposed to start in this month or next month. So I can utilize my heat map here to determine who has the capacity to do more work. So as we can see here, I'll probably assign it to Megan since she's not over allocated. Here I can filter by year. So I want to go ahead and select 2024. And now I can see I have added that to my table as well. So I can utilize this when determining resources for my project. As we can see here, I've received a Teams notification that my request name, which is webinar request, was submitted for approval. And I have some information here, such as the project description, proposed go live date, and the value that this project provides our organization. I can go ahead and approve the request directly from this email notification, or I can utilize a PMO tab here. On this PMO tab, I can come here, select the project manager, and select my decision, such as approve. I'm going to go ahead and approve my project directly from this notification. Now, the next step in the workflow is to notify the request to start creating the project in PPM 360. And then the next step will be to notify the requester that their project has been approved and it's going to be created. So if we refresh here, we can see the project has been approved and now it's in the create project state. So what this create project state is doing in the workflow is it's mapping over the fields to the new project. It's assigning an ID to the project. It's creating the project. And then at the end here, we're going to get a nice hyperlink where I can click on the request and it will open it directly in PPM 360. So the purposes of our webinar today, I'm going to go ahead and utilize a project that's already been created. So I'm going to click on this link right here. Now I can see that from intake, this project was created here in PPM 360. I can see on my summary tab, I have some project details, some high-level project details, and I can once again, this is very customizable as well, so I could have as little or as much information as I want. Now, something important to note here is you're going to see this, some fields are highlighted in blue here. This is an AI generated suggestion. You'll see this in all areas throughout PPM 360. Sometimes you'll have more highlighted fields than others. If I want to accept this suggestion, I can go ahead and select the check mark. And if there's multiple suggestions, I can click accept all suggestions at the top and it will automatically select those decisions for me. Here I have my start and finish date, which pull directly from the schedule. And I can see that this project has been assigned to a program and to a portfolio specifically. In my project charter tab, I have areas for more information, details. We can see my priority score carried over from intake as well. Now, status tab is very important. The status tab is going to populate one of our most detailed reports, which can be utilized for weekly, monthly status reports to report the progress of your project. It can be utilized by PMOs and also by project managers to submit status reports for their project. When I go here and select new status report, I'm going to see these fields, which once again are very customizable. I'm going to go ahead and say, I can select myself as a submitter here. This field is synced with AD lookup. Reporting date today. I'm going to submit it to Megan in this case. Here are my KPIs, which I can be manually set. And here I have an area to submit to write in some recent accomplishments, next steps, and additional comments. These fields do accept characters such as bullet points. If you are used to using bullet points in your status report, you can copy and paste that text in here as well. Now I'm going to save and close. And when I save and close, I'm going to see that upon refreshing here, we're going to see that my KPIs up here are going to match the ones from my most recent status report. So if I select refresh, go to my status tab, I can see that my budget health for the project is now yellow, which is from my most recent status report here. So a quick note, I want to look at the status report here as we go into other details of the project. This is essentially what it's going to spit out. So what we have here is the recent accomplishments, next steps, and additional comments, which we'll pull from the most recent status report, which we just created. We have some user lookup fields, so key contacts on the project here, which pull from the summary tab. We have our KPIs, which pull from the most recent status report, and we have our reporting date here to indicate when this last report was created. We have the start and finish date that pull from the schedule, And then we have the plan start and plan finish, which pull from those plan start and finish fields on the summary tab. The percent complete is it's directly populated from our schedule, so the amount of tasks that have been marked complete. And then we have a link here. So if I click on this link, I'm going to see that this project is going to open directly in PPM 360. So as a PMO, if I'm reviewing someone's status report and I want some more information about something, I can click on that to open it. We can also see some more information from the summary tab, such as the business unit, program, portfolio name, state, active stage, which is pulling from this business process flow here at the top, budget, benefits, actual cost, remaining budget, expected benefits, the number of active risks, the number of active issues, and the number of changes. As you can see here, we do actually have more changes, but they're not considered active since the state isn't proposed. So as we'll see here, as we move on, we're going to see that we have a tab just for logging risks, just for logging changes, and just for logging issues, as well as some other parameters as well. So with the status report, we can make critical decisions for a project and find out some more information as well. Here on our financials tab, this is completely customizable. So we've had people add up to 12, 20 fields here to measure their financial parameters. And we also have integration available with your financial tool that you're using outside of this too. On our resources tab here, we're going to see that as resources are assigned to tasks in the schedule, as you can see here. They're going to be added to my resources table. So for example, if I were to go ahead and assign a new resource to this project, when I assign a new resource, it's going to ask me if I want to add them to the group for this project, which gives them access to the documentation related to this project, or if I want to just assign them to a task. So I'm going to go ahead and just assign. Alternatively, I can add people to the group without assigning them a task as well. Back on my resources screen here, I can see Mia's name has been added, and it's added her with her default role, Solutions Architect. We can see that these are the default roles for the users in the system. So when I add them to a task, it's automatically going to select their resource, their default role here. Yes, Jake?
When you have the resource roles, are you able to have different roles on different projects for the resources?
Yes, that's a good question. So as you know, sometimes people can wear multiple hats. So for example, if Mia was not going to be the solutions architect on this project, I could update her role by selecting her name here, selecting edit, and coming in here and changing her role. So let's say I want her to be a civil engineer on this project. I can change her role here. And now she's playing a civil engineer as well as Megan. So we can even have two resources playing the same role. Now this is useful for our reports as well in decision making, because if I'm looking at my reports, I have multiple resource reports here, and I can add a role filter and determine who has availability by role. So for example, if I were to need a civil engineer on a project, I could use the resource availability report here with a role filter selected, and I could filter in on the role of civil engineer, and it would show me all users who have that specific role and their availability. Therefore, I can determine who I can assign to my project based on that availability. Now our tasks tab is also going to be very important for maintaining, as it populates our task assignments, our resource assignments report here. So we can see here, for example, if I wanted to clear project name and select my name for the resource, I'm going to be able to see all the tasks that I'm assigned across all projects. So we can see here, for example, I'm on this project. Here's the task that I'm assigned. I'm on this project as well. Here's the task that I'm assigned, and here's the progress on it. So I can see this one's late, and it's about 75% complete. This one's 100% complete, and so on. And I can also go ahead and filter out any tasks that are, for example, in progress or completed as well. Any questions so far? Okay. So moving on to our risks tab here. This is going to be an important area for us to log our risks. So as you can see here, I have an existing risk, which will populate my report. If I want to create a new risk, I'll simply select new risk here. As you can see here, I have my AI generated suggestions. I'm going to go ahead and press accept all suggestions. Risk name here, I can say so for example, if I have resources that are lacking on availability, later on, I can actually use this trigger here to trigger a workflow that will convert this risk to an issue later after it's created, if this is a risk that escalates to an issue. I can assign it to someone and they'll actually receive a notification, as you'll see, that they've been assigned to this. Here I can select the category. So in this case, it's going to be resources, and I can select the due date of next week. Probability is 1 to 100. So I'm going to say it's about 75% chance of this happening. Impact is a number from 1 to 10. And when we save this, we're going to see it's going to give us our exposure. Cost exposure also uses cost and probability here to determine this. Here I have an area for description of the risk. I can say additional resource have been requested and resources are on standby. Now, when I save the risk, I'm going to see there's an area here at the bottom, system information. So I can see here that who modified the risk last, when it was created, and then an ID can be given to it as well. Now we can see here I have some notifications. So when a risk is assigned to me, I receive an in-app notification. An issue is assigned to me, I receive an in-app notification. A new change request, if it needs my approval as well, I can click here to open it. And then I can see when I'm added to a group as well, or a project. So I was added to this one, the webinar request, as I can see here, and I can click here to open the project as well. I can also share this risk with someone by either emailing them a link, copying the link, or giving them specific access. So for example, if I wanted to give Charlene access to this risk to manage it, I can come in here and select her name, and I can give her read, write, delete, append to, assign, or share. I'm going to go ahead and save and close my risk. Now quickly,
Hey Stella,
yes.
sorry, really quick, we had a quick question in the chat, and I know Megan answered it, but I didn't know if you wanted to also speak about it in case anybody else had the same question. So the question was, can you make project assignees have read-only access?
Yes, definitely. So there's multiple ways to do that. So for example, they have to have the correct licensing to even see tasks, like the whole schedule will be read only to them. They'll actually see they'll have here that a little area that will say limited access. So simply users that have only a Microsoft 365 license, they can only manage tasks that they're assigned. So for example, Charlene, she could come in here and she could update this % complete for tasks that she's assigned, but all the other cells would be read only. So she couldn't edit the task name. She couldn't edit anything else. That's one way. Another way is we can also set it up by a security role. So even if someone were to have a Plan 1 license, they would have limited access to a project. So there's multiple ways we can do that. Another way we can do that also is up here, there's a check access area. So we can see my access here. But for example, if I want to see Charlene's access to this project, I can type her name in here and I can check her access. Now, if I want to give her additional access, I can do so as well to this project by sharing this project with her. I can come in here, select her name. And once again, to this project, I can give her read, write, delete, append to, assign, or share. So this is actually good in a case where I'm going to be gone. I might be on vacation for a week or two, and I'm handing over my projects for someone else to manage while I'm out. You'd want to give them temporary access to your project in this situation. Moving on to issues as well. to create, I can see my existing issue here. If I want to edit the issue, I can click on the issue here. Enter requester, my name. So we can see here, IT system is down and disrupting daily operations and applications. And the resolution is to engage the IT support team to resolve the issue as quickly as possible. So I can make edits to it, for example. Let's say it went from high to critical. And once again, this is completely customizable. So if you wanted to add, for example, an issue level of some sort and some parameters here to track the issue level, you could do that as well. Now, a quick note, the reason why it's important to track risks, issues, and changes for your project is because at the PMO level, we have these risks dashboard report, and this is going to show all the risks across all the projects. So as we can see here, this is showing the risks across all the projects, and I can see here the details on this. So for example, here, I can utilize this information from a PMO level to see, for example, which of my risks across the entire environment has the highest cost exposure. So I can see here, this one has a $10 million cost exposure, and it's for the project name. So this is an important one that I would want to manage. I can also filter it by project name, probability, or state as well. And I have some visuals here as well. So in my risk matrix, I can see that I have about 38 risks open with an impact between 5 and 6 and a probability of 60%. I also have my issues dashboard, which similarly gives me all the issues in the environment, and I can use my filters to filter down. So for example, if I want to see all the projects where I'm a project manager here, I can see that these are all the issues open across projects, and I can some projects, for example, I have 3 issues open here. Once again, this is completely customizable and interactive as well. So if I want to see which of these have active issues by priority, I can click on this visual here, and it's going to show me which of them have high. So high priority here. I can see which ones are critical priority here. And similarly, we're also going to see the same thing for the changes dashboard. So let's go ahead and create a new change. So here's the in-app notification I was talking about. Click here to open issue. An issue is assigned to you. We can see here. So click here to open the issue. And now I can manage this issue that was assigned to me. So when you put someone's name in the assigned to, it's automatically going to give them this in-app notification. And this can be customized to actually be email notifications as well as Teams notifications as well. Now let's go ahead and create a new change. So we can see here, I have this existing change here. I can see the state is proposed. I'm going to go ahead and update this to active. We'll see the approval is requested. So we can see that that was the notification that I received that a new change needs approval here. So when I click here to open, it's going to open this change here for me, change 1. And as an approver, I can go in and approve this change request. So I can come in here and change the approval to approved and set up a notification that informs the requester. So requested by, in this case here, that the change request has been approved.
Hey, Stella,
Yes.
we have another question. Will people who are assigned to an issue, risk, or task also be notified via Teams or email?
So currently we have it set up in-app notification, but it's very easy to have it go to an email and or Teams notification as well. So currently for issue and risks, our out-of-the-box solution is in-app notifications. However, for tasks, we do have a template as part of our base solution that we add to it that can be turned on or off, that when I assign a task to someone, they automatically receive an email saying you have been assigned to this task with a hyperlink to the task and the project as well. So some customers choose to have that on versus some have it off. Some choose to only have the Teams notification. Some choose to only have email notification. It's very customizable depending on what you want. So what's really great about the Power Platform is that it works with Power Automate, which is part of the Power Platform. Let me see this question. For tasks where we have Planner and Teams, will those tasks show up for the assignee? Yes, they do actually. So we have an area here in Planner. So when you assign a team member to a task, they're going to see it under My Tasks here, and the project name will show up under Plan here. Now, the thing is with this is that we have differences between a premium plan and a basic plan. So if it's a premium plan like this, you can see here that from the planner view, users can come in and they're going to have the same task columns as we have. So for example, they're going to have that percent complete column. So let's say the task is, for example, an effort of 20 hours across multiple days. You'd want them to use this percent complete column. So if I come in here and put, for example, 25%, and with this is a premium plan versus the basic plan here, we can see here that it only gives me the option to put not started, in progress, or completed. So in progress reads back to the schedule as 50% completed, not started is 0, and completed is 100. But this is where they would have this view for them for their tasks in Planner. And additionally, we also have an area here where users can see all the tasks that they're assigned to them. So this by default shows me all the tasks that I'm assigned across all the projects in this environment here that are less than 100% complete. So here I can see all the projects, task names, start and finish, and I can go in here and manage these. So if I want to mark this task as complete, I can do so. Will tasks you're assigned come through the daily Microsoft Tasks email? Yes, if you wanted to, we can activate that. It's really up to the customer. Some people find that it's too many notifications, and then others want it to notify every single time they're assigned. So it's very customizable to your needs. So we looked at the changes dashboard here. So once again, we have some visuals here that are interactive, and I can basically add any column that I choose to have, even custom columns to this report here, which are part of our deployment setup. And then I have tons of filters here as well. So I can filter by approval status. I can filter by project name, state, cost impact, change name, project manager. So if I want to see all of the ones where I'm the project manager, once again, I can select here and see that these are all the changes I have open from all of my projects. So this is actually really good for decision making at the user level as well as the PMO level. Now we have an additional area here to decisions and lessons learned, which we don't have dashboards for, but they can easily be created if this was an area that you'd utilize. So for an active decision here, I could select new decision. So I can say this was a decision created throughout the project. So I can say, for example, resource change. I can say civil engineer resource was changed halfway through the project. Proposed by, I can say myself. Proposed date today. And then we can see that these fields would be used by the reviewer. I can save and close. And then we also have an area for lessons learned. So this is typically used at the end of the project, but can be tracked throughout the project as well. So let's say, for example, there's a task in the template that would need to increase effort hours for. I would say schedule template update, increase kickoff effort hours to 12 hours. Would actually be my recommendation. So I would say time management, and we could say is technically a problem. Once again, we can easily create a dashboard report that has this information as well. We have an area for attachments as well, and you can actually create a new attachment directly here, so new document. So for example, if I wanted to have a new Word document, I can name this new Word doc test, save. It's going to save it in a SharePoint location, and then I can edit it. I also can upload it, and I can also edit the file that I upload directly here as well. So for projects, we also have a business process flow, which is also critical for decision making. A lot of times, for example, in this case, when you've reached the control gate approval, there's some type of expectation of how much progress should be completed on your project. So this can be set up, for example, define deliverables complete, yes, next stage. And this approval can be set up to notify via Teams notification or email notification. And it's very customizable. So this approval can go to a set list of users, or it can go to, for example, the portfolio owner of the project. Now, from a portfolio level here, we saw that when I was in my project here, on my summary tab, I had an area for programs and portfolios. So once I add this project to a specific program or portfolio, I'm going to see in my portfolios area here. For example, I have this view, which is an overview of all the portfolios and the portfolio budget, portfolio overall health, portfolio manager, and the owner. When I click into my portfolio here, I'm going to see some general information. Once again, this area is very customizable, so it can include more or less information, like KPIs, which are manually set, but can be also calculated. So for example, if 75% of the projects within this portfolio are on track, set this to on track, and so on. I can see a roll up of all the budget. So the portfolio budget here is at 6 million. I can see this is rolling up data from all of the projects that live within this portfolio. And on my projects tab here, I can see all the projects that live within this portfolio. So from a high level of decision making, I can see that this one's at risk. So if I want to check on this project, I can simply click into it to find out more information for it from PMO management. Similarly, we have programs here. So for example, I have my one real estate portfolio, but I have 2 real estate related programs. So here on this view, we have a nice view here of all the programs I have, the state of the program, the priority of the program, the portfolio it lives in, if any. And then we can see here the program overall health, program financial health, program schedule health, and then the number of active projects. So for example, this one has 11 active projects, and out of those 11, there are 9 that have an overall health of on track, green, and there are 2 that have an overall health of at risk. There are 0 that have an overall health of in trouble or red. Let's go ahead and click into this. So we can see here that a program can or cannot be tied to a portfolio depending on your business process. We can see here this has information about the program here, description, business case, start and due date. Once again, this area is completely customizable as well to your needs. We can also see the status here and the count of these projects. Once again, this can be set by calculations by logic, or it can be manually set in this case as well. Financials, I'm also going to see a roll up of all the projects that live in here. And then I have my manually set budget here. As you can see here, the budget for the program is about 2 million, and we're right under 2 million. So this is looking good. Here are projects. And from this view here, we can see my active projects, or we can see a summary view as well. This view is completely customizable, so you can have as many fields as you want here, columns that are used in the project.
Hey, Stella, we have a question. Can you set to a Kanban view?
Yes, so at the project level, we can. So in our tasks area here, we do have this board view. And I can actually group by bucket, who it's assigned to, finish date, labels, priority, and if I'm running an agile project, I can also group by sprint. Yes, you can. That's a great question. So one of our great reports that we have is actually a portfolio dashboard report and a portfolio health report. So on this portfolio dashboard report here, we're going to see that we have some visuals here at the top. And using my filters, I can select on a specific portfolio. So for example, let's go ahead and look at a real estate one. So here are all the projects that live within this and as well. And I can see here, oops, it looks like I have one with a budget of critical. So as a PMO, I'm going to want to go ahead and look into this project a little more, and I can utilize this link here directly to open the project. So this view provides a great PMO overall view. Let me reset my report with some great views here at the top as well. Now this project by phase is pulling from the business process flow. So if I want to see, for example, how many are in initiation, I can see here these are in the initiation phase. I can also set the project manager. So if I want to see just the ones that I'm assigned here, I can see I'm assigned to 29 of these. Now our portfolio health report, our portfolio is going to be drop down is going to be directly on the report. So I'm going to click on real estate, and here we can see some more information. Once again, these reports are completely customizable. So if you wanted to see additional financial information like budget or anything else, location, we can add that to these reports as well.
Another question, Stella. Can you show all projects on a Kanban view for Scrum meetings?
That's a good question. So at this time, the tool doesn't offer that, but we could do a custom report. The only thing is it wouldn't be interactive, so you wouldn't directly be able to move tasks around on the report. But similar to this one, how we have our tasks resource assignments view here, it's not a Kanban view, but we could do something where we created data cards instead. But at the time, that doesn't offer this. Now, in Planner, you can see all the tasks that you're assigned, but you can't move them from one to another. It's a good question. So back to our reports here. In this resource assignments view, as I said before, I can see all the tasks that I'm assigned across all the projects by selecting my name. I can also filter by project name, so I can see all the resources on this project and the tasks that they're assigned. Once again, my resource availability report is going to be key for decision-making on requests when I'm looking at who has availability here. So I can see my resources that are over allocated versus under allocated. So we have created custom burn down reports, so that can be displayed depending on like what your requirements are. Absolutely. It would be custom created for you. But yes, we have done burn down reports before, and we also have created great demand planning reports. So it's similar to the request dashboard. It would pull in financial data being tracked with the requests, and you could track for demand planning of future or upcoming projects and determine which requests can be accepted, approved versus rejected based on financial information in the demand planning report as well. So on our resource dashboard report here, we have some high level information. And once again, we can use our filters here to filter by project manager, for example, or by state of the project program. And we could also have portfolio here as well. So these portfolio and program reports are good for program managers to see an overview of project information, of projects in the program. Something else I want to highlight here too is when I go to the plans area here, it's going to by default show me all of the projects where I'm the project manager, my active projects view. What's really great about this view is it's customizable to the user as well as in the portfolios view. So we can see here that I can actually edit these columns and I can add columns. And this is essentially going to give me any field in the project that's created. So as you can see here, so let's say, for example, I want to see active changes, issues, and risks. I can close this. I can move these around. Let's say I want to see it right here. And now I can apply. And I'm going to see an asterisk on my active project's name. What's great about this view is I can add as many columns as I want in the view. And then I can actually go as far as to save this view. So before there was a limitation of 15 custom views, but now there's not a limitation anymore. So as you can see here, these views were created by me, the user. So I can even go as far as to save this as a new view. And I can even go as far as to set this as my default view. So when I navigate away from this area and come back, this will be the view that automatically shows me. By default, everyone gets the My Active Projects view by default, but I can always change it to one of my custom views. Similarly, for portfolios here, we can see that I have some custom views that I've created as well. So this one has more or less information. So for example, this one has more information, such as financials. I can rearrange these to where my financial information is grouped together here. So now I have my portfolio information beneficials here. So I can save this as new view or save changes to current view. So now I can go ahead and save it as my default view. And now when I navigate away from this and come back, we're going to see this here as well. Can you have multiple intake forms or have branching logic customized per need? So you can have multiple intake forms. So what we would do that is if you have multiple groups in intake app, what we would do is we would leverage, for example, one of these fields like request type or project department. And what we would do is basically we would create logic that if I select, for example, construction, then I would get additional tabs that appear, such as, 1, 2, and 3. And those are only applicable to construction. And if I select, for example, finance, I could see 3 additional custom tabs that are specific for finance. So what we would do is we would use logic to hide or show tabs based on what a field shows. So there's actually a lot of branching logic that can be created in this Canvas app. And another benefit about having this intake app created in Canvas app specifically is that there's not a licensing issue. So there's no project plan license required here for you to use the Canvas app or for requesters to use the Canvas app versus in the model driven app, which is here PPM 360, it does have different license requirements. So for project managers, we normally recommend a plan 3. But if you're just being assigned tasks and just managing the tasks that you're assigned, you only need a Microsoft 365 license. Any other questions? We have some additional time, so if anyone wants to see more in a specific area, we can totally take a look at that. There a public link for the intake form? That's a good question. So we do automatically add a link here. So for project intake, as you can see here, I can submit an intake request without even leaving the intake app. And you can choose to either embed the intake app directly within PPM 360, or I could choose to, when I click on project intake, it opens it in a new window. So the links are provided within here for everything, including the PPM 360 reports, and same concept with the reports too. So I can submit a new request from here directly without having to leave this. And same concept too with the PPM 360 reports. These are embedded here. Now I find that a lot of customers prefer to have this link open in a new tab altogether, but it's absolutely up to you. Now, when you say public link, it kind of brings up security concerns. So the app has to be shared with whoever the users are, or what you can do is share it with everyone in your organization. And then as long as they have the link, they can access it. So as we can see here, I can see my reports directly in here. So I can navigate back and forth from my project, come in here, make some decisions, go back to my project, manage or change things. If I see something on the reports that don't reflect my project accurately. That's a good question. And Sherry, we do have a good example of a burn down report that we made for another one. So maybe Megan can reach out to you and show you that or discuss that more with you. Well, at this time, if there's no questions, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back to Erin.
Thanks so much, Stella. If there's any other questions that we didn't have time for, you guys feel free to send those over to us. You have our emails from the presentation earlier. I put a survey in the chat that just lets us know how we're doing. If you could fill that out, that would be great. If there's any future webinar topics you'd like to see, please send those suggestions over to us as well. And our team, Megan and Charlene, will be reaching out with the recording for this session very shortly.
And again, if you want a customized demo for your own individual teams, reach out as well. Let us know. And thanks so much for for joining us today.